All right, folks, Samori Benjamin here with San Diego Padres starting pitcher Michael King. Michael, man, thank you for joining me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Now, I know you're from Rhode Island, New England area, so it's coming up, man. How did you get into baseball?
I played my entire life. I actually still think that the Northeast gives it's actually better to pitch in the Northeast because you have an off season, so you're not playing baseball year round. The elbow's fresh, you know. So I was able to play basketball in the winter and kept my athleticism for a while. But yeah, I've been playing baseball ever since I was a little kid.
Yeah, you're right. That's a great point you make there. And I would look at it because I'm from New York, Northeast as well. And you look at some other states and guys are able to play year round. You look at that, some people as an advantage, but great point. Not as much wear and tear. So
yeah.
When you were coming up, which other sports did you play?
Just basketball. I begged my mom to let me play football. She had a lot of family members play football, and they're all messed up with whether it's concussions or their arthritis in neck and knees and bad. So she never let me play. No hard feelings there. But I had some fun playing basketball, and I played basketball throughout high school, and then specialized in baseball in college.
Yeah, my mom was worried about me playing football too coming up, and you know, in New York City and Manhattan, nowhere really to not a lot of room to play football anyway.
Yep.
So, but definitely was a football fan. I mean, so did you have any favorite teams in baseball and basketball growing up?
Well, obviously in Rhode Island, my dad is from Boston, so he raised me a Boston everything fan. Unfortunately, I know you said you're from New York, so I was raised to be a Boston. I was Celtics, Bruins, Patriots. Early on, I was Red Sox, played with the Yankees, so switched to the Yankees. But it was actually a pretty fun era in Boston because the Celtics won a ton. Patriots had an incredible run there. So I've definitely seen some championship parades in my day.
Yeah, definitely Title Town there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, so as a Red Sox fan growing up, what do you remember about 03 first, LCS, and then the 04 comeback?
Yeah, so it's actually a funny story here. So my mom's from upstate New York, all New York fan.
Wow.
And I went to, I think it was game 2 of the 2003 ALCS with my mom, and Yankees won the game. My mom's favorite player is Mariano Rivera. He closed it out. I'm a 7-year-old boy, and I see that the Yankees win this game. My mom's going nuts, so I became a Yankee fan after that.
Wow.
I stayed Boston everything else, but I was a Yankee fan since from 03 on, which then was kind of the downfall for the Yankees because they had that 09 win, but besides that, the Red Sox have totally dominated in terms of World Series victories.
Yeah, so it must have been fun living in a household where your dad's a Red Sox fan, your mom's a Yankee fan, so how was that?
It was fine. I mean, obviously, they're not diehards where they loved each other. They still do, and it didn't matter. But my dad was a little hurt when I came back as a Yankee fan from that game.
And so it must have been fun for you to watch the Tom Brady rise and the Patriots winning those 4 years Super Bowl. So, but do you remember? And you were really young at that time, definitely. So but you still saw them winning. Well, I guess 07 the Giants beat them, so that must have been very painful for you. But how was it for you just growing up being a Patriots fan?
Yeah, I'd say Tom Brady's one of the top 3 people that I have looked up to the most. Obviously, he's just an ultra competitor. A winner, so it's easy to look at him as a role model. But I had a lot of time rooting on those Patriots. It was a lot of fun.
So now, growing up, did you have who was your favorite player on the baseball diamond?
Roy Halladay was the pitcher that I wanted to emulate myself after. I felt like we had a very similar arm slot and pitch repertoire, and so he was a guy that I watched a ton. Pedro was I feel like almost everybody's favorite if you're a pitcher. So I would imitate Nomar Garcia-Parra's stance in the box when I was really young. So I had a couple guys that I liked.
Nice. Okay, so now how was it for you just playing high school ball in Rhode Island? What was that like?
Yeah, we actually, for being a really small state, we had a lot of good talent. I think that's how I got recruited. The class above me in high school had a ton of good commits. One was committed to Miami, Florida State, Wake Forest. There were a lot of good colleges that were watching our team, and me being a younger guy, I wasn't really getting looked at until they started seeing the guys ahead of me, and I would pitch that game or I would play it, whatever it was. So I think that the fact that I had a lot of talent ahead of me, it gave me an opportunity to get recruited.
Were there any guys in your area who we might know who also made it to this level?
Well, so Rocco Baldelli went to my high school, and he's obviously Twins manager now, but had a good career. Was 6th overall pick, I think, out of high school. Tom Pannone was another one that was a year older than me. I think he's with the Cubs now, but he had big league time with the Blue Jays. I don't know if anybody else got up there besides that in recent history.
Okay, now I know you went to Boston College, but before that, were you drafted at all when you were in high school?
No.
Okay, so not drafted. Now, I'm sure it was your dream to be a major leaguer. So a lot of guys get drafted in high school. Some decide to go, some decide to go to college. So, but for you at the time, was it a big deal for you that you were not drafted?
I definitely wanted to get drafted. I felt like I was going to go to college regardless. I was never that super high recruit coming out of high school. I was throwing like 88, so I knew I wasn't going to be a first round pick. And I felt like my development in college was huge for my career. And having like that transition period of being in high school and living with my parents and getting mom's cooking all the time and then having to live on my own was big for me, because you just get thrown into the fire once you get into pro ball. So I know a lot of guys that had a hard transition in their first couple of years in pro ball coming right out of high school. So I was super appreciative of my time there, but still would have loved to get drafted.
Now you ended up going to Boston College, and so how did you end up deciding to go to Boston College?
Definitely a school that recruited me when I was young. My sophomore year was the first time that they offered me. I was in between a lot of ACC schools. I went and visited the UNCs, NC State, Wake Forest, and I wanted to stay closer to home. Boston College being an hour from Rhode Island, it was nice. And then I felt like because we were in the ACC, I was going to still get the same amount of looks. Yeah. It was a great education. I felt like the team that they were putting together was great for my development, and we had a really good run in 2016. And a lot of guys are still playing pro ball.
Yeah, and a lot of really talented ball players in the ACC, a lot of guys that made it to the major league. So that must have been fun, competing at that level and against so many future major leaguers. Yeah. I mean, what are some of your best memories playing in the ACC?
Yeah, I mean, ACC ball, I remember giving up a home run to Trey Turner in my freshman year, right? NC State. Yeah. And that was when I was still throwing 88, and I got to an 0-2 count, and I thought I could blow 88 by Trey Turner. I learned that lesson very quickly, that I cannot do that. So I felt like I had to learn how to pitch, because a lot of these hitters we're not going to get fooled. And the Rhode Island hitters I was facing, 88 was really fast, you know. So I had to learn how to pitch and learn some secondary pitches and some good sequences. So I think that facing those big time guys were really fun for me.
Now, you mentioned that, and you mentioned that you threw 88 miles per hour going into college and still, I guess, early in your college career. So at what point did you notice your velocity going up, and at what point do you think you had a realistic chance of making it to the major leagues?
I always felt like I had a great chance of making it to the big leagues. I knew I was going to put the work in, because it was my dream as a kid, so I wasn't going to let anything go. I wasn't going to look back at it and say, oh, I wish I did this, because I gave it a half-assed effort, you know? And so I think that the main thing for me was seeing my talent level up against everybody else and my adjustability. That was I knew that, like you said, I was throwing 88. I knew that I could get outs at 88, and I needed to figure out how to do that. I knew that there was more in my body to gain some strength and gain velocity, and I was going to go do it. So I think that a lot of that comes with, I had great coaching throughout my entire career, but then also the work ethic that I knew I was going to put in, and I didn't want to leave any stone unturned.
So by the end of your time at Boston College in 2015, how hard were you throwing?
End of Boston College, I was up to 95, but I would say averaging like 89 to 92. Nice. And then it wasn't until I gained a lot of velo. It was once I was in pro ball, and honestly, I didn't do anything differently. I felt like I put together a good body of work in terms of my off-season lifting, and then my mechanics just started to clean up as I learned that repetition, and I was able to really repeat my mechanics and felt like I could step back and get on a pitch. And so my top of 95 became 96, and then my top of 96 became 97, and it definitely allowed me to be able to blow an 0-2 heater by some guys, and I realized the difference of my repertoire once I was able to throw some harder velos. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff. So definitely, people, you see, training, exercise, weight training, and yes, mechanics can definitely, at a young age, help you increase your velocity. That's really cool. So now, 2015, you were drafted in 2015, 16,
right?
16.
2016, you were drafted. Okay. So what round were you drafted in? 12th round by the Yankees.
No,
but Florida.
Yeah, the Marlins, yep.
That's right, the Marlins drafted you. So yeah, so what do you remember that experience being like, being drafted?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's that dream come true. I think that the draft always goes one way or the other. You're never projected to go in a certain round and you actually go in that round. You're either disappointed or you're really happy. And I think I was definitely disappointed. I thought I was going to go a little earlier. Added to that little chip on my shoulder. And once I got with the Marlins, it was just go time. So the work ethic that I put in continued while I was in the minor leagues. And then I got traded to the Yankees a year and a half in with the Marlins. I was drafted in 16, traded in the offseason of 17, going into 18. And then that obviously opened up a whole new world of opportunities.
Yeah, and in 2017, the Yankees had a really strong season. They made the LCS, and you growing up a Yankees fan, at the time, how was that for you to be traded to the Yankee organization?
Really cool. Yeah, I think even if you're not a Yankee fan, there's something in you as a baseball player you want to put on those pinstripes. There's just so much history there. So it was a really cool opportunity, and I absolutely loved my time being in New York.
Now, I know you debuted in 2019, but before that, I'm just curious, growing up a Red Sox fan, how was that for you in that area, you know, being a Yankee fan in Red Sox country? How was that for you as a kid growing up with that scenario?
Yeah, weirdly enough, I think because Connecticut is a lot of Yankee fans, it's kind of that split where there were a decent amount of Yankee fans in Rhode Island as well because it's right there. But it was always fun. You know, I mean, I was never a diehard one way or the other. So I don't know, we get moved out of here. But I was never a diehard one way or the other, and I loved.
We're good. Are we good? Are we good? Okay, thanks. Cool.
But yeah, it's because I was never a diehard one way or the other. I never got like overly emotional about anything, and it was just a fun thing to cheer for.
All right, 2019, you debut with the Yankees, a good Yankees team. So what do you remember about your call up in your first time on the mound with the Yankees?
Yeah, when I first got called up, it was actually funny. The flight that I was on was all on time, but New York traffic is tough, and so it was a 7 o'clock game, and I didn't get to the clubhouse until 6:30. So I remember my first day here, Tanaka was pitching, and I was actually throwing in the bullpen in the first inning because I hadn't thrown that day. And obviously, like right now, you see the relievers go out there and throw. And so I was throwing in the bullpen, and everybody thought that Tanaka was hurt or something because why is somebody getting hot in the first inning? But it was really just me playing catch. And then I ended up debuting in Texas. It was at the old stadium, which is nice. I was able to check that one off the list. And it was a dream come true. I had an absolute blast, and Rougned Odor was my first out, and I ended up being able to play with him after that. It was cool.
What do you remember about your first Yankee Stadium appearance?
That actually didn't come until COVID, and so it was weird because there were no fans in the stands. And I mean, Yankee Stadium was really cool to pitch in. I still think it's one of my favorite ballparks to pitch in. Obviously, the history there, but the fans are just crazy, and it's a fun time.
There's two more for you. So your time with the Yankees, you were there for 2 or 3 years and got some really good experience out of the bullpen. And I definitely remember you in 2020 and at that time. And you and Clark Smith, and you know, young guys beginning. What do you think of your time with the Yankees?
Yeah, I was super appreciative for the opportunity. I think that I was able to live out my dream of being a starting pitcher, and I had to push Aaron Boone a lot to allow me to start. But I started towards the end of this past year, and I think it propelled me to get traded for Soto because there's no way that the Padres are trading for a relief arm. And I think that it was a great experience for me. I think that it's so true what Jay-Z said, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. So I think that the pressure of playing in the Bronx allowed me to not really feel the pressure anywhere else. And it's been a great experience.
Yeah, and last year, like you said, you did very well for the Yankees when you got the chance to start. And a lot of people were sorry to see you leave this past offseason. And so I know you played against them early in the year in San Diego. So how was that, pitching against them this year?
I didn't pitch against them.
I
didn't line up for them. But it was really cool to see all my friends. Obviously, I got a ton of guys that I still keep in contact with over there. And they've been dominating this year. So I did not wish them the best of luck when they were playing us, but I wish them the best of luck for the rest of the year.
Last one for you. Yes, San Diego, you're finally getting a chance to really be a starter like you want for an entire season. So how's the opportunity been for you to be a starter from the beginning of the season and get to do your thing?
Yeah, no, it's great. I think that I still have a lot to learn. Obviously, I was a starter in college and throughout the minor leagues, but obviously pitching in the big leagues is a different beast. And there are some things that it's great to have with guys like Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish that have done it for however many starts in their career. Ruben Nieblas, I think he's coached 5 different Cy Youngs, so I got a lot of guys that are super knowledgeable around me, and it's been a great learning experience for me, and I hope to keep going.
I'm sure it's got to be nice to live in San Diego.
San Diego's great.
I got a chance to go there 2 years ago to that ballpark. Very beautiful. So,
Very beautiful.
Well, Michael King, San Diego Padres starting pitcher, former Yankee pitcher as well. Michael, man, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.